I came home with her favorite takeout and found her in bed with my brother, my fiancé, my own blood. Their betrayal wrecked more than my heart, it destroyed my family. But I didn't just walk away. I made one move that ruined them both for good. Growing up in a small town just outside Milwaukee, I used to think I had the perfect family. You know, the kind Sunday dinners, small-town traditions, the sort of warmth you'd see in a holiday commercial. We weren't flashy. We didn't travel the world or throw big parties, but we were close. Or at least, I thought we were. I'm Alex, and I'm the oldest of three. My brother Dylan is just a year younger than me. Everyone always said we were Irish twins. Dylan had the charm, the swagger, the smile that got him out of just about everything. I was the opposite, the planner, the achiever, the guy who did his homework early and set 5-year goals before I could even legally drink. Then there was Mia, our little sister, the baby of the family. She was our mom's pride and joy, soaking up attention like it was sunlight. Our mom Claire ran the household with a sharp tongue and a tighter grip, while our dad Joe kept things light, telling corny jokes, flipping burgers on the grill, making everything seem like it was going to be okay. I always thought my family was solid, unbreakable, the kind you could lean on, the kind you build your life around. And then came Emma. We met during a group project junior year at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. She walked into the study room late, coffee in one hand, confidence in the other, blonde waves, sharp eyes, that kind of no-nonsense attitude that made you want to impress her. I was hooked immediately. We started dating by the end of the semester. It felt fast, maybe even reckless, but I didn't care. I'd never felt that kind of spark before. She challenged me, made me laugh, pushed me to be better. We had plans, big ones, career goals, vacations we dreamed about, kids, a house with a yard. In November, I proposed. Nothing elaborate, just a simple, quiet moment between us on a chilly autumn evening. She said yes. I felt like I'd won the lottery. The wedding was set for the following summer. Everything felt aligned. Until one Friday in March. I got out of work earlier than usual. It had been a slow day, and I figured why not surprise Emma with her favorite takeout and spend a cozy evening, and I pulled up to our apartment. Box of Thai food in hand, humming along to a podcast. Everything felt normal. Her shoes were by the door, her purse on the counter. The apartment smelled faintly of lavender and cinnamon, the candle she always lit when she was relaxing. But something felt off, too quiet. That's when I heard laughter, faint, coming from the bedroom. At first, I told myself it was nothing. A TikTok video, a call with her sister, but my gut twisted hard. I walked toward the bedroom, my hands were shaking, and then I opened the door, and the world stopped spinning. There she was, Emma, in my bed, wearing the oversized t-shirt I gave her on Valentine's Day, tangled up in sheets with Dylan, my brother. They froze like two actors who forgot their lines mid-scene. Emma grabbed the blanket and clutched it to her chest. Dylan opened his mouth. "It's not what it looks like," he said. I almost laughed, because it was exactly what it looked like. I didn't yell, I didn't scream, I didn't throw the takeout or punch a hole in the wall. I looked at Emma dead in the eye and said, "Pack your stuff and get out." My voice was calm, too calm. Dylan tried to speak, something about it being a mistake, a moment, a lapse. I didn't care. "You're dead to me," I said to him. Then I walked out. I didn't ask for an explanation because there wasn't one that could undo what I'd seen. I drove to my friend Nate's house and stayed the night, staring at the ceiling, trying to process the shrapnel that had just torn through my life. It wasn't just betrayal, it was annihilation. Two people I trusted more than anyone else had detonated everything I had built. The next day, when I returned to the apartment, Emma was gone. I had told her to leave, and to her credit, she listened. What she left behind, though, was worse than her presence. A note. Just a folded piece of paper on the kitchen counter, right where we used to keep a picture of us smiling at Devil's Lake. "I never meant to hurt you," it said. "But I fell in love with Dylan. I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive us. I hope you can still be happy for us one day." I crumpled it up and tossed it in the trash. Happy for them. The audacity made my blood boil. Like this was some rom.com where betrayal could be brushed off in a montage. I ghosted them both. For days, I didn't answer calls, didn't respond to texts. I went completely silent. Work became my escape, the one place where I could pretend none of this had happened. But word travels fast in small towns. A week later, my mom called. She was livid. Not at me, at Dylan. "How could he do this to you?" she kept saying. "He's not welcome here. I can't believe this." And for a minute, I felt a flicker of hope. Maybe I wasn't alone. Maybe my family would take my side. But I should have known better. My mom has always prioritized appearances and family unity over actual integrity. She'll say the right things at first, but give it time. And she'll sweep the betrayal under the rug like it's a smudge on her kitchen floor. My dad, when he finally got a hold of me, all he said was, "Well, I guess things like this happen sometimes." That was it. Like Dylan had backed into my car, not slept with my fiancé. Mia tried to stay neutral. She said she was shocked and disappointed, but her calls always had this undertone of "let's all move on." She didn't get it. None of them did. I kept my distance. I buried myself in work. I stayed quiet. Then something unexpected happened. My boss, Kevin, pulled me aside and asked if everything was okay. I gave him a vague answer, personal stuff, nothing serious. That's when he told me the Indianapolis office needed someone to lead a team. "It's a promotion," he said, "and a chance to get out of town if you need a change." I didn't hesitate. "Let's do it," I said. Milwaukee had become a graveyard of memories I didn't want to revisit. Every coffee shop, every street, every bench reminded me of her, of him, of everything I lost. When I told my parents about the move, my dad said, "Good for you. A fresh start might be what you need." "But my mom," she cried, full on sobbing like I was moving to a war zone. "What about Sunday dinners, Christmas? You can't just leave us behind." I told her, "I'm not leaving you. I'm leaving Dylan." She said, "He's not part of this family anymore." I didn't believe her. Because if there's one thing I've learned about my mother, it's that her forgiveness isn't based on justice. It's based on convenience. And sure enough, just weeks later, Dylan was back at the house. "He had nowhere to go," she said, as if that excused it. "We can't just abandon him." She wanted me to come home for dinner. I told her to go to hell. That was the start of my real breakup, not just with Emma or Dylan, but with my entire family. They wanted peace without accountability, unity without justice, and I was done being their emotional doormat by July. I had settled into a quiet rhythm in Indianapolis. My apartment was small but clean, and my job kept me so busy that most nights I collapsed into bed without energy to think about Dylan or Emma. But sometimes, I'd be driving home from work, listening to the same playlist Emma once made for a road trip, and that familiar bitterness would creep in. Not because I missed her, but because I missed who I thought she was. And I missed the illusion that my family actually gave a damn about me. I was slowly learning that silence could be peaceful. My phone, once buzzing with messages and invites, was now quiet, and I preferred it that way. Then my mom called. It was late September, her birthday was coming up, and she wanted me to come home for a small celebration. "Just the immediate family," she said. "We miss you. Alex, please." I hesitated. I didn't owe her anything. But something in her voice sounded off. And part of me thought maybe I could handle just one evening. So, I agreed. The drive from Indianapolis to Milwaukee gave me way too much time to overthink. What if Dylan was there? What if Emma showed up? But my mom swore it was just her, Dad, and Mia. She lied. I pulled into the driveway and immediately spotted Dylan's car. My stomach sank. There were more cars than just immediate family. And when I stepped through the door, I realized I had walked straight into a trap. Emma was there too, sitting on the couch like nothing had ever happened, laughing at something Mia said. I froze. "Why are they here?" I asked, my voice low and sharp. My mom grabbed my arm. "Let's talk in the living room," she said, as if that would somehow soften the betrayal. She started into her rehearsed speech how we were all family, how people make mistakes, how healing starts with forgiveness. Dylan chimed in like he was reading from a script. "I'm sorry. Man, it just happened." Just happened, as if he tripped and fell into my fiancée. Emma followed, saying, "We never meant to hurt you." I sat in silence, not because I was stunned, but because I was calculating how deep I wanted to cut. Then I looked Dylan dead in the eyes and said, "You're a pathetic excuse for a brother." I turned to Emma. "And you, I hope he cheats on you too. You deserve each other." The room went still. My mom tried to speak, but I was done playing her game. I stood, looked her square in the eye, and said, "Enjoy your golden boy, don't call me again." And I left. I didn't look back. I didn't wait for tears, or excuses, or guilt trips. I got in my car, shut the door, and exhaled like I'd just come up from underwater. My hands trembled on the steering wheel as I drove away. Not from regret, but from adrenaline. It was over. I had burned the bridge, and this time, there would be no rebuilding. That night, I blocked my mom's number, then Dylan's, then Emma's for the last time. The next few weeks were blissfully quiet. I threw myself into work, took long walks at night, ate alone and didn't mind it. I didn't want sympathy, I wanted silence. Then, out of nowhere, my distant cousin Sarah messaged me on Facebook. "Hey, I'm moving to Indianapolis. I'd love to catch up if you're around." I barely knew her. We had exchanged maybe 5 words at some family gathering years ago. Still, I thought, she hadn't done anything to me personally. So I said sure, I could help her move in. Big mistake. When I pulled into her apartment complex that weekend, I saw a familiar U-Haul truck, and standing beside it, Dylan, my dad. My stomach clenched, my fists did too. Before I could reverse and leave, my mom came out of the apartment, spotted me, and waved like this was a family picnic. "Alex, wait," she called. I got out of the car, but didn't walk closer. What the hell is this? She babbled something about Sarah needing help and the whole family pitching in. But it was clear this wasn't about Sarah, this was a setup. Another attempt to force a reunion. Dylan walked toward me, crocodile tears already welling up. "I'm sorry. Man, I know I messed up. I just want to fix things." I stood there, arms folded, not moving. Then Dad stepped in. "Come on, Alex, be the bigger man. This grudge is tearing the family apart." That was it. That phrase, "be the bigger man," was gasoline on fire. Be the bigger man. After having my heart ripped out, my trust destroyed, and being ambushed in my own city, I saw red. He stepped closer, reached for my shoulder, and I punched him. Hard. Right across the jaw. He stumbled backward, shocked. My mom screamed. Dylan looked like he wanted to disappear. "Don't follow me," I said, climbing back into my car. When I got home, I blocked Sarah immediately. Whether she was in on it or not didn't matter. I wasn't going to risk being manipulated again. That night, I sat alone on my couch, still shaking. I wasn't proud of hitting my dad, but I wasn't sorry either. They'd crossed every line, and I had finally, fully, burned the last bridge. From that moment on, I was done for real. No more calls, no more letters, no more guilt. Weeks later, Christmas was approaching, and I had zero intention of going home. I had started dating someone new, Hannah, a 24-year-old graphic designer I met at a mutual friend's party. She was kind, funny, sharp, and most importantly, she respected my boundaries. When she invited me to spend Christmas with her family in Chicago, I said yes without hesitation. Her parents welcomed me like I'd been around for years. Her siblings joked around. Her mom made hot chocolate, and no one said anything to try to fix me. It was peace. It was everything my family never was. On Christmas morning, they handed me a stocking with my name on it. I hadn't smiled that hard in months. But the universe wasn't done testing me. A week before Christmas, I received a letter in the mail. It was from my mom. Inside was a note filled with emotional manipulation. She wrote that Dylan and Emma had gotten married, that she and Dad were now separated, that she missed me, that Christmas could be a chance to heal. I didn't even finish reading it. I tore it in half and tossed it in the trash. Hannah noticed my mood shift, and when I told her what happened, she said simply, "You don't owe them anything." She was right. By January, life in Indianapolis felt like it had finally settled into something resembling peace. I had a routine. I had boundaries. I had someone in my life who didn't treat me like an emotional punching bag. But even then, the past kept trying to claw its way back in. It started with an email from Mia. I hadn't heard from her in over 6 months. Her subject line was simple: "Please read." Against my better judgment, I opened it. She wrote that our dad was living in a motel now, and that Dylan and Emma were struggling financially, emotionally, maybe even with each other. Emma had lost her job. Dylan's contract work had dried up. Things were, in her words, falling apart. I read the email twice, and then I did something I hadn't done in a long time. I laughed. Not because I found joy in their misery, but because karma. Mia didn't outright ask me to do anything, but her tone was heavy with suggestion, like maybe this was my moment to swoop in and save the family, like I was the missing piece. I deleted the email without responding. And then I blocked her, too, because what they were going through, that was their mess. I didn't cause it. I wasn't responsible for fixing it, and I wasn't about to trade my hard-won peace for another round of family drama. That winter, something even bigger happened. I proposed to Hannah. We were in the park where we first kissed. No big production, no crowd, no camera, just us. I told her I didn't need anyone else to validate our love, that I had already built a new family with her. She said yes before I could even finish the sentence. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I was building something that wasn't laced with lies or betrayal. We celebrated with hot cider and a walk through the snow. A month later, we found out she was pregnant. A boy. I sat on our couch with the ultrasound photo in my hand and cried for 15 minutes straight. Not because I was scared, although I was, but because I realized I'd broken the cycle. I wasn't going to be like my dad. My son wasn't going to have to punch his father to be heard. And most importantly, he would never know Dylan, or Emma, or anyone who'd hurt me. That's when I did something symbolic, but meaningful. I changed my last name. I had thought about it for months. At first, I told myself it was too extreme, that it wouldn't matter. But the truth was, my last name had started to feel like a chain, a permanent connection to people who had done everything to break me. So I filed the paperwork, when the judge approved it. I walked out of the courthouse feeling lighter, like I had finally sealed the door shut on that part of my life. Hannah smiled and said, "Guess I'll be changing mine, too. We're starting our own legacy now." And she was right. We moved into a small house in a quiet neighborhood, decorated the nursery in forest green, and started preparing for the next chapter of our lives. One that didn't include my mother's manipulative guilt trips or Dylan's half-hearted apologies. And then, because the universe can't resist one final test, Mia showed up at my door. It was a Saturday morning. I had just finished folding baby clothes when I heard the knock. I looked through the peephole. She was standing there, alone, holding a coffee in one hand and a folder in the other. I opened the door, arms crossed. "Alex," she said softly, "I'm so sorry." I didn't say anything. I cut ties with them, she continued. I haven't spoken to Dylan or Mom in months. I couldn't do it anymore. Not after what they did to you and to me. I still didn't speak. I just studied her face. She looked tired, hollow, like someone who had finally realized just how deep the poison had spread. "Dad wants to talk," she said. "Just one conversation." I shook my head. Then she said something that nearly made me flinch. Dylan and Emma are getting divorced. Apparently, Emma had caught Dylan messaging another woman. The perfect, forbidden couple. They didn't even make it 2 years. Their fantasy had rotted from the inside, just like I always knew it would. Mia placed the folder on my porch step. "It's just letters," she said. "From Dad. From me. Even from Grandma. I'm not asking you to do anything. Just read them, or don't." I didn't pick up the folder. I just nodded once and closed the door. I left it there for hours. Maybe I was hoping it would blow away in the wind. But that evening, after Hannah had gone to bed, I sat on the porch, opened the folder, and read the letters. Some were rambling, some were deeply sad, some sounded like people trying to rewrite history. None of them changed how I felt. The next day, I burned them in the fireplace, not out of rage, but as closure. A few weeks later, our son was born. He was tiny and pink and angry about being outside the womb. But when he finally opened his eyes and looked at me, everything else disappeared. This was my family now. This was the only legacy I cared about. Epilogue. The life I built without them today. I'm 30. I have a wife who loves me for who I am, not for what I can offer or how well I can play peacekeeper. I have a son who will grow up never knowing the feeling of betrayal from someone who's supposed to protect him. I have a job I enjoy, a home that's full of warmth, and a name that I chose, not one that was handed to me by people who failed me. I don't know what Dylan's doing now, or Emma, or my parents. I don't care. They burned the bridge, and I left the ashes behind. And to anyone who thinks blood means loyalty, let me say this. Family isn't who shares your DNA, it's who shows up. Consistently, with love, respect, and truth. The people I left behind had none of those things. The ones I chose, they have everything. And that's all I need.